Hello there, Star Wars fans, and hopefully some fans of the Star Wars CCG card game. So I've got another deck to go over here, and again, so like my last video, going back to the Premiere-Hoth era of Star Wars CCG. One of my favorite formats. Premiere, the game very first came out in December of 1995. I was one of those people that was right there playing the game immediately when the game first came out. It was just awesome. Had some friends where we all were big Star Wars fans, and we all started playing right away. And then the Hoth set was the end of 2016, I think. 1996, I mean. So we're talking about the very first year of Star Wars CCG. Game was ridiculously popular, as popular as Magic the Gathering, maybe even more popular at the time, and just seemed like everybody was playing it. Anyway, super fun time. Game was very simple then. If you're starting to play the game or wanting to get back into the game and haven't played in 20 years or something like that, I really recommend starting with this format. You can play online on GIMP. Cards are all free online, so you can just get on there, build decks, and play. And here's a deck for you if you want to build it. So I'm going to call this deck Dantooine Base Operations. So it is a light side space deck. But the last video that I made, I went over a dark side space deck. If you haven't seen that one, I'd say go ahead and look at that. I'm going to try and keep things a little bit brief in this video. So we're starting off with the Dantooine system. And the thing that's awesome about the Dantooine system is capital starships deploy -2 and starfighters deploy -1 here. And then it gives you 1 force and gives your opponent 0 force. There is a negative where if your opponent controls, they get force drain +1 here. But because of the way this deck is built, if they actually try and take over Dantooine, that's an extremely dangerous idea for them to do, and probably going to wreck them, or you're probably going to wreck them if they do try and do that because of how cheap it is to deploy your ships. So anyway, here we go. Dantooine base operations. Starting off with Dantooine, and then we got Corellian Corvettes. This is such an efficient card. We're talking about a Power 5 capital class starship for a deploy of 4. And with the Dantooine system, they become deploy 2. So ridiculously cheap for like a really good starship. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Corellian Corvettes. And honestly, I would have more in here if I wasn't so afraid of Grimtosh, which is an extremely powerful card in this format. That's the one where, if you're not familiar with it, opponent can pay 4 force to look at your hand, and if you have duplicates of any cards in your hand, those cards are lost. So it's a very commonly played card, very powerful. So gotta be careful about that. That's why I guess only 6 is only a good word for that in this deck. We got Gold Leader and Gold 1, nice starfighter, lets you draw Destiny, and then we got Red Leader and Red 1. Again, draws Destiny. We got 2 Millennium Falcons. Millennium Falcon with, Millennium Falcon is immune to attrition less than 5 if Han, Chewie, or Lando is piloting. If you get Han on the Millennium Falcon and have that immunity to attrition less than 5, it's extremely strong. You can usually dominate a system with Han in the Millennium Falcon. Got Red 2, so this is Wedge's X-Wing. So if Wedge is piloting, it's immune to attrition less than 3. We got Red 5, Luke's X-Wing, of course, and if Luke is piloting, it's immune to attrition less than 4. 2 Tantive 4s. There are a lot of decks that start the Death Star in this format because the Death Star gives Darkseid 3 force, but I love playing against decks like that with this deck, especially if they do not have a lot of space, because if they do not have a lot of space, they really cannot, they can't really defend the Death Star against you, against this deck. So I got 2 Tantive 4s in here, and just like I said, love playing against decks that start the Death Star. That's like, just go after the Death Star immediately, get that force drain of 3 on your side, And gosh, I mean, really, you're gonna win most of those matchups. We got 3 Luke Skywalkers, the original farm boy Luke. I just enjoy playing with cards like this, like the original trilogy cards, the original trilogy characters, like Luke and Obi-Wan, even Biggs, his buddy. Got a Boshek, got a Chewbacca, Hobby, just decent pilots basically. Couple of Han Solos, because a really good pilot. He's got that ability where once during battle, you may use 1 force to cancel your previous destiny and draw again. That's real strong. We got a Porkins in here, and then 2 Cal. I think people call Cal Legs is kind of her nickname. And Cal is really good on like a Corellian Corvette or the Tantive 4, because if both players draw 1 battle destiny involving Cal and yours is higher, opponent's destiny is reduced to 0. So, unless people are tracking high destinies, most of the time people just don't really want to fight against your starship with Cal on it, because canceling that destiny is so strong. We got a Pops, Tyree, again, just decent pilots. Wedge Antilles, forfeit of 6, which is just ridiculous in this format. Zev, and then I've got 2 R5M2s. Nice thing about R5M2, when aboard a capital starship, add 1 to power and hyperspeed, and that starship is immune to attrition less than 3, which is really strong because there's so many low destinies. This is the old school format where drawing a 1 for a destiny is real common. So put R5 on a Corellian Corvette or Tantive 4 and just dominate with them. Got an R2D2, strong card, but it's also a spy. We've got another spy, Mau Mau. Got a Leia signed by Carrie Fisher's one of Carrie Fisher's secretaries, Jerome Webb, and then Wyvern. Also, Wyvern is probably basically in there just because he's a spy. And then we've got 2 Obi-Wan Kenobis. And Obi-Wan is basically one very important thing about how to play this deck is how to use Obi-Wan. You kind of want to hold it. Hopefully, if you have one in your hand, you kind of want to hold him and look for a good situation where he's going to play a very important part. Maybe that's battling against somebody and overwhelming somebody. Maybe that is controlling a site where you get a force drain of 2 or 3. But yeah, just like I said, using Obi-Wan very smartly is very important. Let's see, 1 grappling hook. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 undercovers, and undercover is in here so that you don't have a lot for ground. Obi-Wan is kind of like your big card for battling against ground stuff. So undercover is in here to put a spy down where they might have, maybe they have Darth Vader with a lightsaber doing a big 2 or 3 drain or something like that at a site. And then you play one of your spies and put undercover on your spy so that you have an undercover spy there and they can't force drain at that site. I'm sure it really stinks to play against, but anyway, got to win the game. And then we got quite a mercenary. So if Ellis Hellrod just completed a transport, use 2 force. Ellis and all carriers transport are lost, and it's immune to sense. So yeah, put an undercover spy down where they have Darth Vader, and then maybe they try and play Ellis Hellrod at some point to move Darth Vader to a different site, and you've got this in your hand and 2 force, and you play this, and Darth Vader is lost. It's a kind of a blowout card and always awesome. Let's see, I've got 2 Hoth. So for locations here, we've got 2 Hoth systems. Nothing really special here, but just gives you 2 force. Gives your opponent 1 force. Kashyyyk, again, gives you 2 force, your opponent 1 force, but your Wookiee and smugglers all deploy -2 here. And then total ability of 6 or more is required for your opponent to draw a destiny. So that's a good one, not great for force draining. And then we got Kessel, and Kessel is in here just for that force drain. So, nice thing with the light side Kessel, it does give your opponent 2 force and only gives you 1, but you control this force drain +1. So, yeah, getting Kessel down and controlling Kessel if they don't have the Death Star is a good way to win. 2 Tatooines, 2 Yavin 4s. And then we got some sights here that give you 2 force and give your opponent 0 force. Goodness, that's better. Okay, so Hoth Echo Command Center, yeah, gives you 2 force, gives your opponent 0 force. I've got 2 of these in here, really just because opponent force strains -1 there, so they try and put down a spy there and then put down some guys there. Not a big deal for them to, not a big deal if they're force draining it for 1 a turn. And then I've got 2 Yavin 4 Massassi War Rooms, give you 2 force. Opponent 0 force. Yeah, and then so that's the deck. I don't know, it's really fun. I really enjoy playing it, and it's really good also. Like, it's gonna beat a lot of mains and toys decks, and usually beats, like, dark side's really got to have really strong space in order to compete, and usually they are not fully dedicated to space. So yeah, usually you're going to beat most decks with this deck. And then let's open up this. We got a Premiere limited booster pack here. Why don't we open it up and see if we can't get a minty main? Let's see, the rare is 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be the rare, I believe. Okay. Okay. Okay, got something wrong here. So General Taggy, isn't he an R2, I think? So yeah, I did something wrong there, I think. So yeah, well, I guess that counts as a main. Let's see how he looks here. Pretty good centering, good corners, good edges. Interesting. So yeah, build this deck, get on GIMP, play some games, stomp on some people, have a good time. Thanks for watching. May the force be with you.